Call to order this executive committee meeting of the Waste Reduction District of Monroe County. Mr. McGlasson, could you please call the roll?
Piedmont Smith,
Here.
Thomas,
Here.
Phillips,
Here.
all are present.
Thank you. So first we have the executive committee meeting minutes of September 30th. I did make a couple of small corrections.
I saw, yeah, I saw those. I have in the version here for signature.
Okay, great.
Move to approve. That's our executive committee, right? Yeah. Move to approve the minutes.
Okay, all those in favor of approving the minutes, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? And we have, just for information, the October 9th Board of Director meeting minutes. I think there were a couple of minor corrections there too.
Typo, grammatical corrections, like none of those.
Any other comments on those? Then we will go to the resolution to amend the district's fee resolution.
So yeah, this was introduced at the last board meeting. And you have no changes in what was presented at the October meeting, but on page 20 of the packet, Commissioner Thomas had asked for a side-by-side comparison of the current and proposed pricing. Is that what you were looking for?
On page 20. Oh, yeah. Yes, because I couldn't with the lineouts.
That's
No, this is it.
just what you were looking for.
Yep.
Okay. And then also at the board meeting, Councilmember Wiltz had asked about doing an asterisk fees that would be residents would be subject to, and in redoing this, thinking about it, so that CESQG and universal waste price list, that is not applicable to residents. That is specific to those businesses that are small quantity generators and out of county residents. So all of the fees that any Monroe County resident would be subject to are in the text of the fee resolution.
So are there changes to those?
Just the latex paint and the copying services. Everything else in there is just kind of reorganizing and some language changes for clarity.
So anything affecting residents, is that?
The latex paint fee is the primary change that would impact residents, and that's and as we talked about at the meeting, that's if they choose to leave it with us to manage.
Right.
If they want to go try it out on their own, they can dispose of it with their regular trash, and that's perfectly okay, legal at that point.
Yeah. Right, no, that makes sense. Thank you. Ben, just for clarity, so when you look at the side-by-side comparison on page 20, you have 1 gallon paint, a quart paint, and 5 gallons in a pail. But then you have the list of prices, which is per container, which is kind of weird, you know? And I would just take out the per container.
Well,
I don't know. It just seems weird, but
I know, I agree with you, and I'm gonna that's an omission, I think, on my part, because I think if you look on page 15, which is the new proposed,
right.
We did modify those descriptions a little bit to quart.
Okay, you have the container listed. Got it.
Right.
Got it. Okay.
We accounted for, there are more than just quart, gallon, and 5 gallon sizes.
Okay, got it. I'm just curious about this question. Can you tell me the difference between non-foaming aerosol cans and foaming aerosol cans?
Yeah, so anything that will actually, when you spray it out, foams, so like a wasp spray sprays out that foams
Oh, okay.
versus a spray paint that just goes as a mist. So
Got it.
anything that foams, we have to separate now and pull.
Okay, oh, got it.
Yep.
Thank you. That was it.
So, for the latex paint larger than 1 gallon, up to 5 gallon container. For CSQG, it's $36. But for Monroe County residents, it's $35. I look at the top of page 14.
That is an omission error on my part. I did not update that in the text of the resolution.
Up to 1 gallon is 7.
Yeah, 7 is correct.
Section 3, number 3 area. So
Okay, that's split. That's an error on my part. I would, Joey, correct, 36 was what we determined. So I will need to change that for what goes into the board. Pricing should be the same for business.
let's see.
And that's all based on, when we ship it out, we pay per Gaylord. So that's, pricing is based on how many of those containers can we fit in a Gaylord box.
Got it.
Yeah, I figured it wasn't per gallon. Any other questions or comments on this?
No.
Okay, if not, we can move on. We don't need to vote to forward this, do we? We can move on to the community grant program.
Okay, this is based on the request that was made during the budget preparation to include a budget line for a community grant program, which we were able to appropriate $20,000 for such program. So the budget has been approved and adopted. So if we want to spend that money, we need to have a program to do that with. So, and this is my stab at it based on information I got predominantly from Hendricks and Boone County that have had such grant programs in place for some time, using their information as templates and a guide. I've put this together, so if I don't necessarily expect the board to approve it at this meeting. If they're happy with it, they want to, that's great, but I kind of anticipated that there would be some discussion and maybe some revisions requested and bring it back in December for final approval. But the sooner the better, because if we're trying to spend $26 here, so we need to get the program in place. We need to have ample time for an application, review an award process, and then for the recipients to complete whatever projects they're going to complete to get reimbursement requests submitted so we can get the money out this year in 26.
Right, well, thank you for preparing this. Who wants to start with feedback or questions?
So I did have I think maybe it was a typo on page 25 of the packet. In the first sentence, it's projects that may be considered.
Yeah, I caught that one earlier today, actually.
Excellent. Excellent. And then in the grant review process, which is the next section, it says the board will review applications and the recommendations provided. I wasn't really clear. Is the board going to review all of the applications, or will it be just the forwarded recommended ones? Or I didn't make.
Well, and that's, again, like I said, this is what I put together based on the other district programs that I was able to get information on. And So we can certainly, tweak that. The board can request all or only recommended ones. I have no idea, how many to expect in a given year, let alone the
Right.
first year. But yeah, obviously, we don't want to bog down a board meeting reviewing 25 applications when we're going on make a board, so we're fine with them. But I will say that I have, that review process was put out to the CAC at their last meeting, and they voiced no objections to being involved in that process. I think that's a good activity for the CAC to be involved in.
How many people are on the CAC?
6 currently, we will have 5 that have requested to be reappointed for 26, which will come to the board at the December meeting because Mr. Winnie is moving out of state.
How many seats are there?
15. The membership is by the bylaws, the membership is capped at 15.
There are qualifications that people have to exhibit.
Just be a resident of Monroe County and either work in the waste management industry or have an interest in things related to our mission.
It's pretty broad.
It's pretty broad. For anybody on CATS listening or watching, we are always interested in people inquiring and expressing interest and being appointed to the CAC. But the review process is certainly something that I think the board can weigh in on and have that be whatever the pleasure of the board is.
I personally think it's great if the CAC takes a first look.
Yeah,
I would love it if there were more people on the CAC,
And
but
that's always a goal, always something that we work toward. And the one thought that has crossed my mind, if the board only looks at those applications which the CAC and staff, if that's how it's written in essence, are going to recommend for award, then how are we going to justify those that weren't recommended if somebody questions it?
there needs to be a rubric,
So,
like whoever's doing it. There
and
should be
that is
something.
not something that the other programs I've looked at have.
Oh,
we could just delete that sentence and leave it kind of hazy. Just say they will forward recommendations to the district's board of directors. The board will then determine which projects are most worthy of the funding based on the predetermined selection criteria.
But what are those?
Well,
they're listed later, but
You have
they're
to
not.
be in good I don't know what good financial standing means. I don't know what. I know proposals may include recycling, environmental education, et cetera. That's fine, but that may include, doesn't mean it has to.
Right.
I don't know what good financial, environmental, health and safety records are. If I don't know what that means. And I don't know how much money this is, and I don't know when we're doing this.
So it's up to $5,000 and.
Right, but I mean, total.
20,000.
20,000 is what's in the budget.
That's it?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's not,
Yeah, where are those?
It's right in the middle of
there's an italicized section.
It's in there, but it should be.
innovation, effectiveness, sustainability, transferability, impact, use of recycled, reclaimed, upcycled materials, cash or in-kind matches.
Yeah, these need
Yes.
more,
You just need to find it,
information.
and then you can.
They should all have sustainability. But if we were at those are way too vague.
Yeah, I mean, well, you just,
Like I said, this is not a finished product.
Yeah, I know. if you just create a way to, I mean, you could have each, it's a process.
Spreadsheet.
Right, like if you're grading an exam or something and you have that, you would do the same thing. So you would define what is effectiveness, what does it look like if it's awesome? What does it look like if it's not so great? And then have each member of the CAC rate each one on them, give them points. Then it's a quantitative, defensible.
I mean, easy enough to create a rubric based on those criteria. If those criteria are satisfactory,
Right.
even if we do need to make some definitions of, what we consider innovative, sustainable, what have you. But that would be something that I would ask, the committee or the board as a whole. Is that dependent on definition? Is that list of criteria adequate, acceptable? Is there more or less?
Depends on how you define them.
Yeah, I get it.
Well-
That's,
I'm looking at,
Impact could be defined as like the number of residents. Just by it, so to speak.
Well, that's part of the.
and that's part of the application.
Yeah, which is why that's a good way to, like, I think it should be linked to things you've asked them.
yeah,
So,
how many county residents do you expect to include in the program? I'm looking at, I mean, in the interest of not reinventing the wheel, I'm looking at the Bloomington Commission on Sustainability to see what their grant program application asks for. Sorry, I didn't do it.
Well, I mean, that's something I can certainly inquire. Matt Austin with the CAC also sits on that commission and is familiar with their process.
Well, it might be easier just to look at their form. I have a more basic question for you. That is, why are services not allowed? Why is payment for services not allowed? It seems to me that's the biggest bang for the buck, is to have human beings coordinating things.
Well, I mean, we're not paying for somebody's Ronkier Republic bill.
No, of course not, but could we pay for somebody like One Sustainable Joe to continue a composting program, coordinate a composting program? It's the time that's the expensive part.
I don't disagree with you that, but let me look back at the statute.
I mean, the way I would just not having looked at it super recently, but the way I would think about that is if Joe was applying, then yes, because the applicant would be the service.
If
Pay people for their time. I think that gets into a whole area just.
But we did,
I know.
and it wasn't a whole mess.
Okay, I thought when I interpreted the no services being, we're not gonna pay this organization to pay for a service. So a secondary service, that's the way I interpreted it.
I would agree with that, but Tom, is that the way you meant it?
He just made up their own definition.
I'm gonna pull the statute up here real fast, because that's,
Mhm.
there is. So what the statute says, the power to make grants or loans of A, money, B, property, or C, services to public and private recycling programs, composting programs, or any other programs that reuse any component of the waste stream as a material component of another product. The primary purpose of activities undertaken under this subdivision is to carry out the provisions of this article, which is solid waste management district.
Wait, those things are allowed or those things are not allowed?
That is out of the statute, we have the power to make grants or loans of money, property, or services to public or private recycling programs, composting programs, or any other programs that reuse any component of the waste stream as a material component of another product, if the primary purpose of activities undertaken under this subdivision is to carry out the provisions of the article.
So we can,
So services
Okay, for
are
services.
included, and so composting programs are in there. So if somebody wanted to apply for a grant to use somebody like One Sustainable Joe to establish a composting program at their business or their apartment complex, I would say that would be allowable.
So if that's allowable, but maybe not preferable, then that could be indicated in the criteria that, you know, and I don't know if that's the case, but it's, because it was listed as not allowable, maybe that's something to think about, like,
so under project guidelines, it says bold and underlined grant funds may not be used for payment of services.
Yeah, I think maybe that section needs to be clarified a little bit that,
Secondary services.
that we're not paying for your waste hauling, recycling hauling and disposal.
But you would pay you'd pay somebody like.
So we pay somebody,
Sustainable Joe, which, how is that different?
we're
Because it's,
paying
Not-
them to develop a recycling or a composting program for that business. Not haul
So
the
what-
material away.
So what you're saying, I think what you want to differentiate between is a service that we're paying for as a contract versus a community project, which is a grant. But I think you just need to be clear about what they can do with that fund, because if you say, for example, oh, you can put recycle bins at whatever location, then the question is, who picks that up? Well, is that Green Business Network? Okay, well then how do we pay for that to be picked up? So let's say it's somebody that wants to put something in their apartment, then how do we pay for that? So I think it's just differentiating between somebody that's a grant award and somebody we contract with to do some work. That's not the same thing. So,
I mean, it's as simple as saying we won't pay for that we can't say contracted services.
Yeah.
Because if
yeah,
we're gonna pay somebody to establish a composting program, that's a contracted service.
well, but that's the grant. That's not a contract.
Okay, that's different than contracting with a waste hauler or the Green
Right.
Business Network.
Right. I think that's what the difference is.
so let me see that written down probably, because I'm not sure I followed that entirely.
yeah, it's a little hazy to me as well.
But okay. Another. In the implementation of selected grant projects. So at the bottom of page 25. It says that they're gonna get an award letter. And what it'll be in the award letter, and then the next sentence says. The board may place constraints and stipulations on the project, and then gives examples of these things. And it was unclear to me if what it was saying was these constraints and stipulations will be in the letter. Or if just randomly at any point, we could be like, hey, don't do that. I just thought we should clarify.
I just like to be able to read at any point, tell them, yes.
Well, I want to, but I just don't know if that's really the right.
No, I understand what you're saying, and it should be clear, and I apologize, I did not have them put into the packet, but in the Dropbox folder for this meeting, there's a subfolder for the community grant program. And there is a draft grant agreement and award letter in that folder, which can be included in the board meeting packet. If that's what is decided.
I think it's less important than the things that you already provided, but yeah, it's of interest. I just wanted to make it clear that we're gonna give you something akin to your, contract in this letter. It's gonna say what you can and can't do. And then at any time, we might request that you appear before the board. So this is my next question. Do they have to report on outcomes at all?
That is, the other districts that I talked to, they do that on a case by case basis, depending on what they're making it worth. And if a board does wish to have a progress report or an end of project report, that would be in the agreement.
See. I think that would be a good practice, even if it's just in writing. Doesn't have to be presented to the board as a presentation, but at least some sort of report in writing.
For any recipient?
Yeah.
Because you need to be able to track.
Yeah.
Those receipts and spending and
Well, I think that.
and then at the end, consider, was that worthwhile or not?
I think that like in Hendricks County, if somebody gets a grant to buy, recycled plastic benches for the park, the director just documents that and reports to the board project.
And that's it, right? But sometimes the grants are, and so I think it's based on what the project is, and I think that is something that would be part of that letter of.
Right, that would be.
But I
The
think
word letter
all
would
of
be,
them-
this is what you need to
Yeah, well,
report.
yeah.
all of them will be asked to provide a summary, proof of fund usage and summary of project.
Yeah, that should be in the page 25.
Okay.
Describes
That
it.
summary that may or may not include an actual presentation to the board. That would be a case by case.
Yeah.
Report outcomes required, general like that.
I think that's good.
On page 24, so the description of the community grant program. The third paragraph in the introduction. To supplement these efforts, the district is pleased to offer community grants. And then this phrase, to help conserve natural resources, decrease dependence on disposal, demonstrate the importance of sustainability and generally promote improvements, blah, blah, blah. It seems like that, whatever language we put there should also be in the resolution as the purpose of this program. It should be consistent, I think.
So
So the fourth whereas, the fourth whereas is, or add another whereas clause, I don't know, but the fourth whereas clause. I see whatever grants us the power to do. Maybe another whereas clause saying the purpose of this program is.
it says,
I think it would make sense to add a whereas between what would become the fifth whereas. Before
Yeah.
we say the district has established a budget line.
makes sense. You could even say, and whereas the district's mission is, and you could put this beautiful little gem throw on the next page.
There you go. In that fourth whereas clause, I understand now that you were quoting from state code. But I'm thinking there may be programs that are not covered by this language. That we might want to support, and I don't know if that's allowed or not, but I was thinking, if there's a program to help local businesses reduce their packaging, or a program to add a fix-it fare for small appliances, so you don't just throw them out, you can fix them. Even having a appliance, or a clothing swap or something, just to prevent things going into landfill would be nice to support, but are we allowed to do that?
I would ask the attorney for his interpretation of that section of the statute and where such programs would fit into that.
So it does say any other programs that reuse, but what you're saying is more of a divert
Mhm.
thing. I mean, so that would be like the specific question.
And it says reuse.
But a closed swap is a reuse.
Any,
But reducing packaging is
yeah,
just.
then reuse
using
any
it as
components of the waste stream as a material component of another product. I mean, that is the entire statement.
Yeah.
Mm,
So.
I think one of the reviews has to be legal as well, of whatever the
Application.
organization is and their application, in case there's a question about whether it fits the statute or not.
Oh, one of the reviews of applications that come in.
May include legal,
Maybe.
mm.
because you have to make sure that it fits statute.
Right.
So so in some sort of eligibility or criteria paragraph, it should probably say meet the requirements as laid out. And I see, yeah.
Can't cite that by heart.
Never will.
Right, and I mean, Julia's right. What does it mean? They must have good financial, environmental, health, and safety records. Who's
I don't
gonna?
know, that's probably the language I took from one of those other programs.
Well, I think one of the other things too is if this is something you plan to continue into the future, that somebody who's received a grant in the past has to have completed all the reporting.
Mhm,
But
that's true.
but it's also a question that I don't know the answer to. Rhetorical question is, do you want to keep giving a grant to the same organization for the same kind of work over and over again? Or do you want new people to apply? And so that needs to be addressed in there as well.
Mhm.
Preference will be given to first-time applicants or somebody who's never received the award. If that's the case, I don't know what the answer is, but it's a lot of hoopla for not a lot of money,
Well,
but it's taxpayer funds and we have to be careful with them.
yeah, I mean, $5,000 is probably the average amount of the Sophia Travis Grant Award, even though the total is a lot more. Yeah, we just, that grant prioritizes giving to as many as possible as opposed to fewer with more.
And this, and we'll hammer all of this out, but this is our first stab at it. We can, and I guess I tried to word the resolution, the now therefore, says that established beginning the calendar year 2026 and appropriations be budgeted annually as funding allows to continue the program until such time as the board wishes to modify or terminate the program or funding becomes unavailable. So, I did try to make it a recurring thing with the ability to, adjust the amount based on what we can budget for, that we can appropriate for this, and if we can appropriate more money in a given year, then maybe the maximum goes from 5,000 to 7,000 or 8,000. So.
Or if we run it 1 year and we only have 2 applicants, maybe we can increase the maximum.
Yeah, and that would be,
Or is there some kind of?
I don't know that there would be a way to encumber that money because we wouldn't have an invoice or anything on that. Maybe something to look into. If we don't have enough applicants to expend all of our grant funds, what's the ability to carry that into the following year and add to next year's total?
Well, I was looking at it more from the point of view of just not having a lot of applicants and increasing the amount for each award because.
let me ask legal, what would happen if we don't have $20,000 worth of applicants? Can we adjust that $5,000 cap?
No,
No.
no, I still think you're not getting what I'm trying to communicate here, sorry. So if we only have two applicants and their total projects only add up to $12,000. No, if their total projects add up to, let's say they add up to $25,000, but we're only allowed to give them each $5,000. What if we could give them each $10,000?
Well, yeah, and if that's where I would ask legal, if we put that up to 5,000 in the application,
Mhm.
what does that mean if that scenario occurs?
Oh, okay.
And then I think I would check with them, but my guess would be that if we have 20,000 budgeted, and if the board decides that there's projects out there that warrant awards up to $25,000, then we should just be able to transfer the funds or do an additional appropriation as we would with anything else that went over budget.
Yeah, we'll have to see how it goes the first year. I mean, I hope we have sufficient applications, but it could be that we end up giving $10,000 to two different projects, which would exceed that $5,000.
It would, and
But
yeah,
it wouldn't exceed the 20,000.
Yeah,
Sorry, I'm not expressing.
no, I think that makes
no, I
sense.
think it does make sense, and the question is, if we put that in the application, does that not leave us any wiggle room?
Well, we
You
can
could say we
say
expect-
target, we're targeting this amount,
Yeah,
or.
We expect to
Yeah.
have to limit the.
I mean, if the board wishes, we can take it out. And if a bang up proposal comes through that's $20,000, we can do one award for $20,000 if that's what the board wishes.
But the 5,000 also encourages them to leverage and to,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's
I
good to
think
give them
some
an
dollars.
idea of like what to ask for too.
I think it's important to at least in some way, shape or form, let applicants know that there's a cap here.
Yeah.
There's a ceiling.
Back down a rabbit hole, looking up environmental health and safety audits. But, I mean, that language makes sense if you're talking about a company, a business.
Well, yeah, I mean, I can sit here and tell you, in my mind,
But I was gonna-
if we're dealing with a business that has item violations, well, guess what? You've not met that criteria. But some of those things.
So
are pretty
staff is
cut and
gonna
dry.
check.
So, yeah, I mean, that's, I guess there's some applicants that we would want to check that on because we know that they're subject to regulations that are environmental in nature.
So when we develop, or whoever does it, staff or CAC or order, and develop that rubric, we would, of evaluating the applications, I think that could be something on the rubric. If it's a business, look up Better Business Bureau, look up IDEM, look up whatever. If it's
Well,
nonprofit, check nonprofit
Yeah,
status.
I mean, we're nonprofit, we're subject to environmental regulation.
Right.
So that's,
So is that something that you would want on the application? What regulatory agencies oversee your work or something? I don't know how to phrase it.
Hmm,
And then they can tell you in case.
that's good.
All about.
Mhm.
At least you know then where to look if you wanted to.
Yeah, maybe under grant review process. Yeah. Application, it would be on the application form.
and I will say too, part of what went into the application was trying not to make it a novel.
I think it's great. I know that
I didn't want a 5-page application.
we came out of the gate with all kinds of like, hey, what about this, but this and this and this, but it's awesome. It's, there's a lot of just, details you wanna make sure we thought
We
through.
want the application process to be as short and sweet as possible, but we also don't want to omit pertinent information.
Well, and that italicized paragraph could be a separate sheet of paper or a separate form, right? You don't need to put all those definitions in the actual application form.
Or you can just attach whatever rubric you're gonna use, and then it's, yeah,
Oh, yeah, that would be the most helpful.
I mean, that's what I do for a second.
Right, and I,
Here's a rubric that I'm, knock yourself out.
and that rubric may change year to year depending on what the goals and priorities of the district are given time.
On the application form, number 9, where you're gauging the impact, would it be helpful to add nonprofits? Because it could be an organization that helps nonprofits to recycle or helps nonprofits to compost.
You could put businesses / organizations.
Yeah. Or we could separate them. Help to nonprofits is slightly higher in my book than help to businesses.
This is true.
And then number 10, does the project utilize recycled content materials or products to achieve its goals? What about recycled or repurposed content or materials?
Sure, I mean, that's part of, what's already, in there with
Somebody's
taking
getting-
materials out of the waste stream to use as a component for another product. So
Rain barrel and making it into
so
gardening thing.
recycled content or repurposed
Mhm.
materials product.
Yeah.
I was wondering if on number 13, if we might give them an opportunity to explain. So, if we can only give you 5,000 and you asked for 8, and you say, well, no, the project won't continue in its current form, but we could do this. I just would like to know a little bit more about that answer.
Yeah.
I swear that's all I have on that, I swear.
Well, and then number 14. Of course, I'm not done yet.
Yeah.
No, number 14, they may not be requesting items, so it should be required if they are requesting to purchase things, but if they're not requesting to purchase anything, she can have to make something up. I know, you wanted it 2 pages.
Well, I mean, I think that's just, you add something in there for each requested item, you must.
There you go, yeah.
Anything else on the community grant program? And how shall we continue this?
Joannia did suggest, since the application was a separate document, to add the district's mission statement to it.
Right.
Sorry. I have a version that has that added, just reduced a couple of lines under number 7. Make it fit. A couple of blank lines off. The other thing he suggested, which It's gonna take some investigating, but it was an online application process. I would not be opposed to, but I don't have to work with our website host on how we can incorporate that into the website. That would be a little different form than the contact form we used for reporting legal dumping. Learn about adopted version.
So time-wise, would approval at the December board meeting be soon enough for you? Or do we need to try to rush this?
Yeah, I even January might work.
Okay,
You know, that's all just gonna depend on the applications we get and then how long they need to complete the proposed project.
so we could review the revised version of these documents at our next executive committee meeting? Does that sound okay?
So should you not want this in the packet for the November board meeting? If you don't,
I
that's
don't
fine.
think so. I think it just muddies the water if they have all these suggestions in there.
No, that's,
Unless you want to, unless the other two executive committee members want to delegate to me to look over the revised one to put into the,
I don't think there's a hurry.
pardon me?
I don't think there's a hurry.
yeah, I agree,
Yeah.
I agree.
I need to go.
If more voices involved, it makes it harder to
Get it just a
bring it all,
little bit more.
bring it all together in a timely fashion.
Okay, let's polish it up for December ECB. Thank you though for your work. I appreciate that. Okay, so we can move on to the district holiday schedule.
Yeah, so that's, you know, just like we do every year. However, I will say for 2026 with 2 election days. It's on page 32 of the packet, when you have 15 admin holidays, everything comes out real nice.
I saw that.
And I think,
Does that not usually happen?
No.
I have to say, I found that table fascinating. It's like, look how beautifully everything's just picked. They did that.
it didn't look like that last this year, but, and then and because we do routinely compare ourselves to the county is giving Friday, January the 2nd as a holiday. I already had this together when the commissioners adopted that, but I 16 holidays is gonna muddy it all up. And then plus, you know, our facilities being open on the Friday after a major holiday, I think is something that the warranted.
Helpful. That's true.
That's 2026 anyways.
Is what?
It's 2026, 27. It's not, it's a different holiday schedule. Are you talking about this year's or next year's?
Next to
26.
2026, the county's giving
Right.
January 2nd.
Right.
That's the Friday after the New Year's, but
Mhm.
But we have people who work on Saturdays too,
Yeah,
so it's
it
not
would-
like everybody gets.
it would mess my table up and I just.
It's a beautiful
But
table.
overall, you know, after the New Year's holiday, cans and glass, people need to go do something with, so.
And you accept trees too, don't you?
Yes, and we will be doing the
Live
holiday
trees.
trees at that time as well.
Really?
Live trees.
Oh, yeah. Well, they're not really alive. They're sort of hanging on. Unalived trees.
But yeah, but otherwise it worked out real nice and neat this year and it's the same as we do every year, the 3 different schedules for the 3 different types of facilities and the different operating and work schedules.
This might be my favorite table I've ever seen. Can I just tell you how satisfying this table was to look at?
Table nerd.
I am. The only thing I could make it better is if you put it in Excel.
That's where it came from. It's just, it fits, you know, the
Mm-hmm.
one to packet, I needed in the
Mhm.
PDF.
So, yeah, I mean, what I like to see is the scheduled hours relative to admin being the same as the paid holiday hours relative to admin.
Yeah.
We have that 57.5% for the rural sites, so,
And the holidays per workday are 5.8 across the board.
yeah,
I know.
it's so beautiful. All right, any other comments or questions about this one? Then we have the ordinance for fixing salaries.
Yep, and those are, as indicated in the memo, the wages based on the budget that was adopted. The, was it 1,180 increase for salaried employees and 57 cents an hour for the hourly employees. And all current employees are at the maximum fixed rate.
So the, what is the longevity? Payments, could I see at some point what the longevity table is?
Mhm.
Just curious, because we don't have that in the city.
So you have a longevity on it, on top of this?
Yes. And it's built into the budget.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can send that out to the three of you if you'd like, showing you what how it broke down for the 2026 budget and the
Well, I'm
table.
just curious, like, after how many years do people start getting additional longevity again? Like, what are the,
Yeah,
is it 5, 10, 15, or how does it work?
I think it's 2, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25.
Yeah.
I think it goes to
No, 25 you're maxed out.
25 and maxed out, okay. We have an employee that's been with us since day one.
Yeah. She's been there 30 years. I think she told me she maxed out at 25 years.
Is that Mary?
Yeah.
She's been there 34 years.
That's amazing.
Considering extending longevity.
Yeah. Yeah, for that extra bonus. Okay, any questions on the salary ordinance resolution? It's so funny. So it's a resolution, but the title of the resolution is ordinance for fixing salaries. Why isn't that?
That's the language I inherited. That's how we've always done it, so. If you want to change, we can change it.
It's fine with me. It's just on the city council, we have something is either an ordinance or a resolution.
Right, same.
Yeah.
I didn't even notice that. That's wild.
You might want to check with legal on that.
Yeah, I would be
Because
curious to know, yeah. Because anything we vote on always says resolution at the top. If that's fine, then,
I know, but legally ordinance has a different
It has a different.
meaning, and I don't know that the district board is empowered to adopt an ordinance.
I don't either, but I would love to know.
It is a salary ordinance.
Well, I will have legal take a look at that before we get the board packet out.
Okay. Shall we move on to Garden Quest report?
Yeah, so Garden Quest provided, it's a PowerPoint, but I put it in slide format, handout format to get it into the packet. Reporting on the activities that have taken place with funds provided by the district. They are happy to present at the board meeting or just be present to take questions, whatever the pleasure of the committee and the board is.
I for one think it would be awesome to have a presentation from them. Didn't make it all the way through the slides. And it looked like it had a lot of cool stuff in it.
they've done a lot of things. And I actually did attend one of the Bokashi workshops that they did at the community orchard of the Y
Mhm.
city. And it actually was, he called himself a reporter, but he was with Ida. And I shared it on our Facebook page. Ida actually produced a video
Oh,
based on that, and
I think I saw that mentioned in here.
Yeah, they
put up on their web or on their Facebook page. That did get shared on our Facebook page.
I'm just looking at the agenda for today and you have a double asterisk next to some things that we didn't vote on. I'm confused.
Probably because I was doing this meeting and the board meeting agenda at the same time.
So the only thing we really needed to
The only
vote on were the minutes.
The only thing you need to vote on are the executive committee minutes. So I apologize.
Just making sure. Any other, so I agree with Kate that it would be good to have them give a presentation.
I will let Matt and Ellie know.
I wonder though, if we should give them a time limit. Sometimes presentations can just go on and on. What do y'all think?
We would take 10 minutes to present.
That's what I was thinking.
Of course, wants to ask questions for.
This is short.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
I wouldn't know how to do a 10-minute presentation. I'm sure no one's shocked. Well, this will also be in the packet, so we don't need to read everything. Yes,
We don't need to go word for word because.
right.
And that brings up something I did forget to ask when we're doing the fee resolution. So we will have the public hearing that was advertised in the paper on October 29th. But since the public hearing was advertised for 4 p.m. because that is the board meeting start time, do we want to put that first on the agenda before we do minute approval, so that happens as close to 4 o'clock as possible? It makes no difference to me. I'm just asking if.
I mean, I doubt that anybody will comment, but in case they do, I guess it would be a courteous thing to put it.
I will note for the record that I was in Dropbox this morning looking at it for some reason, and according to Dropbox, there were 2 other people in there looking at it at the same time as me.
Really? Anybody has access to Dropbox?
Well, that was the public notice and the documents to be reviewed. That is in the public document archive section of our Dropbox, so that people that wanted to look at it before the public hearing could do so.
Okay, interesting. So we might get some.
They were just listed as guests. It didn't give me a name, but
Well, I don't think the changes were future.
huh?
I mean, I didn't, are any of the changes ones that you would expect to cause a little bit of consternation?
I mean, you aren't doubling the prices.
Right, right.
No, I mean, it's hard to guess because Joey probably would know more than I do about, regular recurring CESQG customers that we have and what they're bringing to us.
We don't have very many CESQG businesses anymore bring them to us because we've started weeding out the large quantity versus the small quantity, helping them learn the laws, make sure they're abiding by what ones they can and can't do. Most of our customers that would be paying would be out of county. So it's, we do a lot of out of county stuff where it's not offered in their county. So, a lot of them's happy to pay because they're getting rid of it. I mean, they drive from some distance sometimes.
Really?
To like drop off the fridge or whatever.
Yes.
That's great.
There's a lot of counties that don't offer that
Yeah,
stuff.
and there's a lot of ravines with fridges in them, so that's terrific.
And Freon and TVs, there's not a price difference whether it came from in county or out of county.
It's more for the chemicals, the paints and the hazardous stuff like that, that this focuses on.
Yeah, but no, that, to me, there are no significant price hikes in here. A few things actually went down. And like I said before, it's about, in putting it together, we really looked at two things. Our cost and trying to avoid pennies.
Yeah, cleaned up the ends there.
Well, I think a periodic comparison of our costs with our fees is a good idea. Don't want to subsidize people who are not in this county. Okay, so we'll put that number one on the agenda. Is that okay with everybody? So all other items deemed appropriate now at that part of the meeting.
I'm sorry, do we, is there a preference on where Garden Quest falls on the agenda? Their presentation.
It's probably, I mean, polite, since we don't have other staff coming to present, might as well have them go early so that they can do their thing.
Unless we have quorum issues.
Well, then the public hearings.
Yeah, but sometimes we have quorum issues, like people have to leave our
If
meeting.
we have voting items and
Yeah.
people need. Well, sorry, what?
It's a report, so it should go at the end.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll let them go for the CAC and staff.
Yeah. Okay, so any other items deemed appropriate?
I have two things. One is, three things. One is a quick question. Are we meeting in December?
And what?
Are we meeting in December?
At this point, my plan was to have CAC reappointments planned for that, but I think that I have all of the CAC members have expressed their desires to me, so we could add that to the November agenda if you think there's an interest in not meeting in December.
Yeah.
Do you mean the board meeting or the EC executive committee meeting?
Or
Don't know why we wouldn't meet.
At this time, I don't
think there
know,
was anything.
other than the CAC, if we do the holidays and salaries.
Would meet.
Yeah, if we do the holidays and the salaries in November, then really the CAC reappointments are the only remaining action item for the
And-
year.
The whole stuff.
We do have the
The
grant.
community
Grant.
grants,
That was what we had said, that's what I'm trying.
Yeah. we should meet.
Any update on the Hefty program for plastic bags and other recyclables?
I was able to get a hold of Hefty and they asked where we were and what our interest was, and then said, Rumpke's our recycling partner in that area, contact them.
Okay,
So I contacted Rumpke and Derek, our recycling rep, is inquiring within Rumpke about what it would take for them to start offering it here.
huh. Well, that's odd. Okay. I mean, it seems like if Rumpke's already doing it, that would be a really good fit for us.
Well, they're doing it in Cincinnati.
Right.
And the way I guess Hefty regionalizes the things that it's, however far Rumpke wants to expand it out of Cincinnati is up to Rumpke, it kind of sounds like. So we'll push that and we'll see
Okay.
what we can get them to do.
Okay, that'd be really good if we could do it. I just continue to hear from people about plastic bags and other plastics that are not recyclable, styrofoams and things like that, so.
I was in Oregon recently. I wanted a bag. I had to pay for it.
Mhm. Yeah,
I had to pay for a plastic bag when I was in Oregon last week.
Oh,
So where are we at with the solar stuff?
RMI did say that they put us out there blindly.
Right.
And they got some interest expressed, and then they emailed us. We all said, yep, sounds good, let's move it, and I have not heard anything since.
Okay, and that was for somebody who would actually do the install.
That's for a developer, yeah,
And then connect with Duke, because that's who would do.
right, yeah.
There is absolutely no chance of getting this done through REMC, correct?
Not to my knowledge, because, yeah, but,
Okay,
I don't think that RMC wants to mess with it.
okay. Well, just keep us posted, because we're, I think Monroe County's interested and we can, obviously, there's an upfront cost, but it would give us
Yeah.
a flat rate on utility bills in the future, and that's very valuable.
I did get from Rumpke at this time does not have any closed landfills in the area that they would be interested
Right.
in doing. So,
Right, so Medora is still active and they're not, okay.
yeah,
Got it, all right.
even the closed section, no, not.
Yeah, it's not,
this time.
yeah, I would imagine it's not something that'd be good for them. Okay,
So that was a big stumbling block, right, to have more off takers then.
Right, to divvy up that $50,000 annual fee.
So we have the county, we have city limited utilities. Maybe I
And
need,
maybe
let's know for others.
right, I kind of gathered by you that they're not going to eat that $50,000 on it.
What about
I
us?
don't know that we're producing enough energy to satisfy more than one off taker.
it's, the thing is that, between the city and the county and IU, there's more need than there will be power generated. And so you don't want more off takers. I mean, I don't know why you would want more. You would want,
Yeah.
you'd want the number that's
Right.
going to utilize everything they can.
You diminish the
And you're
return.
you're not gonna be, even if you're, only having to put in 10,000, you're not gonna get anything for it, so.
Yeah.
Has to be worthwhile.
I'll reach back out and see where they are, what their plan is, and
Yeah.
we might expect to meet and good options if we're going to move this forward.
Okay. My question today is about the accessibility guidelines that are coming down from the federal government in April. That will make all our packets have to go through more steps to make them accessible to the public. The Bloomington City Council staff is very concerned about this, and then they have a consultant that's working with the city to make sure that we are compliant. So I want to see where the district is at.
Well, with regard to packets and other documents that wind up on our website and or the public document archive, we aren't real far into that yet. I think that we've identified a service to use for the website, investigating what that service can do for documents. Don't know that they can do our public document archive or anything, so.
I would ask you to talk to Greg Crone, who's our TSB director. Because we were paying for that service, but now that we're on the Indiana.gov website, we no longer pay for it, they provide it. So if you start using our website to upload your packets,
Is that an option for us?
I think it might be, so let's,
I mean, our packets are already on the website.
so then they become part of that accessible group. So I would just talk to him
Okay.
about it before you start spending money on stuff that we don't need to spend money on. But
You can hand them, you can upload a non-accessible PDF or whatever. And somebody operating the website is going to make your document accessible.
it's not somebody, it's done automatically. It's a processing service. And that's what we had been paying for at the county to make PDFs, OCR or text to audio capable.
Well,
And we had been paying like,
I can order, I
don't know, like $4,000 or $5,000.
I can make a PDF OCR. I have some.
I know, so I don't know that beyond that. And then if you load it into the in.gov site, then it becomes an Indiana issue, not a county issue, and not a,
Okay.
that's my point.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just surprised. Okay.
well,
And there
But
are
I-
other requirements that, like, you have, I'm like, I guess they don't add alt text if you have a graph or something. You have to have alt text or any graphic or image.
the way it was explained to me earlier today by our council attorney who has been meeting with our city IT department is that all the council websites will have to be, all the council packets will have to be like web pages. Like you have a web page that has the agenda, and then on that page, you click another link, like resolution 2025-10, click that link, and that gives you another web page that has that resolution. Text only. So no PDFs, everything on the website. That's what she said.
I will investigate this
So,
further.
yeah, it needs to be investigated.
That's one way of handling it. You can make your PDFs accessible.
Well, we have been, but apparently that not to the level that will be required.
Wow.
But the state of Indiana is gonna have to follow it. So if the state is not following it, then who is? So if you use our website, you should be fine.
That makes sense.
And
But
you're
are you
limited.
using the website or are you posting PDFs through the website? I think that's two different things. Yeah, I think that it's not necessarily.
The topic grade.
Yeah.
I will investigate. Starting with Greg. And attorneys at BP.
Thank you. Anything else before we adjourn? I guess there's another meeting coming up.
There is at 5:30.
Yeah, Teresa, do you have anything for other items? No? Okay.
Thanks for coming, Joey.
If
All
I
right.
went broad, you guys wouldn't have a lot of questions. If I didn't,
There
still
you
be
go.
talking about the fee rate.
It's not bringing an umbrella.
Right.
Okay, we are adjourned then. Thank you all.